Hello and welcome along to another CrowdProperty.com funding opportunity. Today we're going to be returning to Plymouth and we're looking at Regent's House, 10 to 13 Gordon Terrace, PL4 6EP. Now, CrowdProperty is a peer-to-peer lending platform designed to facilitate loans between private individuals and professional property businesses. CrowdProperty is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority under permission number 723959. CrowdProperty is not covered by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. There are risks with any loans you make, and just like all peer-to-peer lending, your capital is at risk. CrowdProperty endeavours to protect all lenders. This is done by registering the legal first charge against the property project. This means that in the very unlikely event a borrower defaults on the loan, CrowdProperty will be able to take ownership of the project and manage it for the lenders. Now, there are 4 properties on this particular title. KXP Investments Limited bought properties number 10 and 11, and White Dog Investments have purchased numbers 12 and 13. There are now 2 interconnected loans between the parties and CrowdProperty, cross-collateralized with CrowdProperty having equal security across the building. This means that in the event of a default by one party, the other one is liable. The directors of the companies are also directors of the KXP group of companies, and they specialize in commercial conversions, particularly listed building conversions for either sale or the rental markets. Now, I'm delighted to say that we're joined on this webinar by one of those directors, and that's Carl Bailey. Welcome along, Carl. Tell us a little bit more about your background and that of your fellow directors.
I'm a building surveyor. I've had 10 years experience. I got my degree a number of years ago now, and since then I've been working with Phil, who's also my dad. He runs his own architectural practice, which he has done for a number of years, and together with his wife Silena, he's an HR consultant, we are White Dog Property Investments.
Now, also joining us on this webinar is one of the other directors, Murat Haykir, or Mo as we call him. Welcome along, Mo. Tell us a little bit more about you and the other directors.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah, good to be here. So my name is Mo. My background is in banking and finance, working as a project manager after university. Started doing that alongside investing in property, and then jumped in to do property full-time in 2016. I've worked for Lloyds and HSBC prior to that, and the other business partner is James York, who is shown there. He's an experienced construction project manager. He's worked for large national construction companies. He did construction management in the environment at university, and yeah, so he looks after keeping projects on time and on budget. He looks after health and safety, looking at the supply chain and contract management, things like that. And just to add to that, we've completed Grade 2 listed conversions before in Plymouth. We've invested in a lot of HMOs and a few flats in Plymouth. We run a lettings business which manages, it's actually more than 118 hours, so we've got a few more than that. And we are going to be managing Regent House, so making sure we've got great quality tenants in there. And yeah, so our business is focused on Plymouth for the HMO rental market. So this property will fall into that management portfolio.
So let's have a look at this project then. This is Regent's House. The project is a development loan facility of £1.15 million. That's towards the purchase and refurbishment of the property, which was a dilapidated student HMO and is going to become a high-end professional HMO. This is phase 3 of a 3-phase raise, which will enable the borrowers to complete the refurbishment. The loan is for a term of 11 months or thereabouts, with the 3rd phase raise being £285,000. Interest on this phase is 8%, which will be rolled up and paid at the exit. So let's start off then by finding out a little bit more about the local area. Let's come back to you, please, Mo. Tell us a little bit more about Plymouth.
Plymouth is a really vibrant ocean city. There's over 250,000 population. We've got a few big universities and colleges down there. So there's lots of employment. You've got the docks, you've got a big city centre, you've got lots of housing. So that's where we've really focused our investment over the last few years.
Now, this property is one title, but there are 4 separate properties, or I'm going to be split again into those 4 properties. So there will be number 10, number 11, number 12, and number 13. And the borrower is undertaking this comprehensive refurbishment and renovation to provide 32 rooms, plus individual shared kitchens and living rooms. It's under the planning reference 19/01741/FUL, the subdivision of the existing 32-bed student home to become 3 8-beds and 1 9-bed HMOs. The project is already first charge secured, and the exit strategy is to refinance onto 4 separate standard buy-to-let mortgages on completion of the works. Here's the location plan for you. On the left, you can see the CrowdProperty flag pointing to where the property is in Plymouth. On the right-hand side, you can see it in a little closer detail there, pointing to the property on Gordon Terrace. Here is the site plan for you. You can see it shown on the left-hand side as a former nursing home. Since being a nursing home, it then got turned into a student HMO, and now it's going to be split into separate HMOs. And here are some front and rear photos. Let's come to you, please, Kyle. Talk us through exactly what we're looking at. This was at the start of the project, wasn't it?
Yes, this is relatively near the start. So on the left is the front view of Regent House. So those 2 bays in the front door is actually 1 out of the 4 properties. Each of the properties has a very similar footprint. Obviously, they were all built at one time, and at some point in the past, they've all been knocked through to create one huge dwelling. So our plan is to turn them back into standalone houses, which are infinitely more rentable and refinanceable and sellable in the future. At the back, you can see some of the works have started there, but there are tenement extensions on the back, as there are with a lot of HMOs in Plymouth. And this particular site had them all sort of infilled with other piecemeal extensions, which we're now starting to get rid of.
Let's have a look then at the street view, and you're going to return the one property back into those 4 individual houses. Talk us through that street scene.
You can see from both sides, we're not doing a lot to the front elevation other than putting the doors back in where they've been blocked up. And making it a much nicer street scene and putting in some access stairs and redoing the gardens. So a very light touch to the front. To the back, there's a bit more work going on. You can see a lot of those sort of infill bits and pieces on the extensions on that bottom left-hand corner. And on the bottom right is what it will look at the end, with those bits mostly removed.
And now looking at the proposed ground and first floors. First of all, let's look at numbers 10 and 11.
Yeah, so 10, 11 and 12 actually have a very similar footprint. On the ground floor, a very light touch to just convert the 2 front rooms into bedrooms, add in their own ensuite. We'll also add in a utility room to keep all the washing machine and plant out of the way. At the rear of the property, we'll combine the tenement with one of the existing reception rooms to create a large open space living, dining, kitchen area and a 3rd ensuite bedroom on the other side. On the first floor, again, very light touch, just putting in a couple of ensuite bedrooms. We'll convert that front box room into a shared bathroom for the 2 rear units. And then right at the back is the last bedroom with its own private ensuite, including a bath.
So that's numbers 10 and 11. Moving on to 12 and 13. You've already described 12 because it's similar to 10 and 11, but number 13 has got an extra room.
Number 13 does have an extra room. So we've been able to hold on to some of the extensions at the back of this one. So that's enabled us to move the living room out of the main building and combine it at the back with the other extension to form that living, kitchen, dining area, which has allowed us to get that other bedroom with ensuite into the ground floor. We've also managed to hold on to the garage space there, so we can put all the plant M&E equipment in there, so it's nicely out of the way, and also a place for cycle storage. On the first floor, it's a very similar layout to the other units, with the 2 ensuite bedrooms at the front, a shared bathroom, and the ensuite bathroom at the back.
Now, things are progressing quite well, and I've got a progress update here since the commencement of the phase 2. Talk us through what the independent monitoring surveyor found.
So progress on site has been really good in some areas and not so good in others. So 10 and 13 are absolutely flying on, well ahead of schedule. 10 is actually now completely plastered out and they're starting to paint and decorate that one. So really happy with the progress there. 13 is also flying along with the partitions up and they'll be starting bordering and plastering this week. 11 and 12, there's a bit more structural work to do. So we found a couple of minor structural issues in the roof, which we need to resolve before we can put in the new separating wall to really form those two units.
Remind us how you found this property, Kyle.
Oh, I think that was our sourcing manager, Catherine, who's done a wonderful job for us, looking all over the market for any sort of opportunity. And this was one that I think had been sat on the market for quite some time as the largest student HMO in Plymouth. Had a bit of a bad reputation and no one quite wanted to take it on. So us being creative and always up for a challenge, we knew exactly what we could do with the building and just follow our model for HMO properties, and away we go.
Now, as well as this project, which is progressing well, you have done other projects which have been funded by CrowdProperty as well. And I've got a couple of case studies that I'd like to go through. Maybe I can invite you back here, please, Mo. Talk us through what you did at Wyndham Hall.
Yep, so Wyndham Hall was our conversion of a Grade 2 listed ex-nonconformist chapel that had been used as a gymnasium more recently, and we've converted it into 6 apartments, 6 flats, and each one has between 4 and 7 bedrooms in. So we've got 30 rooms in total, split across 6 flats, 4 4-beds and 2 7-beds. So that the works are all completed now. It looks absolutely fantastic. Tenants are in, really enjoying living there, and as you can see, it looks absolutely fantastic in the pictures. Top right, you can see what it looked like when we bought it. Plants going out of the roof, graffiti, antisocial behaviour, lots of fly tipping, those kind of things, and in the bottom right, you can see what it looks like now, and new railings. You know, it just looks fantastic, and it's really brought the area up. So very, very happy with that, and supported all the way through by CrowdProperty.
And that CrowdProperty loan now has been repaid back. You refinanced onto an HMO mortgage. Here is a second case study of another project you did in Crediton. This similarly has been repaid. Tell us what you did here.
Yeah, so we converted an ex-care home into 22 apartments, and I'm pleased to say we've now sold 21. We've got 1 remaining on the market that we've got a couple of offers on. So really, really happy with how that's gone. Purchasers have moved in and are really enjoying living there. And again, it's really brought the area up. You can see what it looks like in the bottom right. Really nice asset that hasn't been able to be used by the local community recently, and now is really nice high-end accommodation for the area.
So returning then back to Regent's House, this is the third phase of a 3-phase raise facility, that facility being £1.15 million. This raise is for £285,000 with the interest rolled up and paid at the exit. The purchase price was £1,075,000, and that was validated by a RICS valuer. The first phase was £665,000 gross. Therefore, the initial loan to value was 57.8%, including the retained interest. The RICS validated gross development value is £1.97 million, and the loan to gross development value, including the interest, 60.9%, and excluding that interest, 58.38%. Lenders are going to receive 8% per annum interest, and that's to be rolled up and paid at the end of the loan term. The maximum loan period was 15 months. It's going to be 11 months for this phase, and the phase 3 is targeted to commence on or around the 9th of November 2020. Remember, the exit strategy is that the intention is to complete the works and the property then to be refinanced and let out, and the property is already first charge secured against the property title. So your next steps then are to make sure that you understand the loan, carry out your own due diligence on the project, and then decide how much you would like to lend. CrowdProperty.com is the place to be to pledge on launch. The necessary anti-money laundering checks will be carried out, and then you'll be invited to send your funds to your own online e-wallet, and you'll start earning interest on completion of the loan agreement. So this is the phase 3 for £285,000 for Regent's House, 10 to 13 Gordon Terrace in Plymouth, PL4 6EP. Thank you for watching this webinar. We look forward to joining us again soon for more funding opportunities back here at CrowdProperty.com.